Good evening and welcome to KMTV. I'm Andy Richards. Your top stories tonight. Murderer given life. Baby beats the odds. And have you ever seen a park that's just for doggies? Two teenagers have been left with knife wounds today after they were mugged in a Kent underpass. The pair, aged 18 and 19, were reportedly stabbed last night during a robbery in the St George's Place subway in Canterbury. They were both taken to the Kent and Canterbury hospital for treatment. A knife was recovered from the scene shortly after the midnight attack. A man who brutally murdered a Kent student has been sentenced to life in prison. Richard Danta pleaded guilty to killing 20-year-old Billy Mankolo in an attack in Leeds in April. This morning, the 31-year-old was jailed for life and will serve a minimum of 15 years behind bars. Mr Mankolo, originally from Tunbridge, was found with head injuries under an arch near Leeds City Station on Saturday, the 25th of April. The court heard how Danta met Mr Mankolo in the Viaduct bar near the station and was seen leaving with him at 2:44 a.m. He had just a 30% chance of survival, but one baby from Snodland has beaten all the odds. Jem Collins went to meet him.
When Dennis Shewer was born in January last year, he weighed just £1 and 5 ounces. Born 13 weeks early, there was only a 30% chance of him surviving, as well as a 50% chance of having brain damage.
About 24 weeks he stopped moving, but it was too soon in the pregnancy to be monitored, so they decided to sound for the heartbeat, and they couldn't quite make it out, and that was when they realised just how bad it was, how small he was, and said, you got to have him now.
After being delivered by a caesarean section just 28 weeks into the pregnancy, Dennis also had to be resuscitated before spending the next 4 months of his life in hospitals across the southeast. He was so tiny, the family had to invest in special clothes and nappies, but unbelievably shows no signs of his ordeal now.
He was born in hospital and he stayed in hospital for 12.5 weeks, so we hadn't experienced having him home. We hadn't experienced being a family at home, but having him home and then him go back in, that was probably the worst time for us.
And now his mum is telling his story to say thank you to the hospital that helped him, as well as organising a fun day at Aylesford Sports College to raise funds for all 4 hospitals which helped him. This is Jem Collins in Snodland for KMTV.
Kent is set to sizzle this weekend as temperatures soar to highs of almost 30 degrees Celsius. Hordes are expected to descend on the coast after the Met Office predicted sweltering conditions. It's been 27 degrees today, but it's expected to be even hotter tomorrow with a maximum temperature of 28. But there's a warning the heat could trigger severe thunderstorms. Forecasters say conditions will turn increasingly unsettled by Sunday and into Monday, with heavy, thundery showers expected. Now, Medway has opened the doors to its very first dog park. Adon Gregory went to fetch the story.
If you've had a rough day, then you'd be delighted to know that the Maidstone Road Sports Park here in Chatham have officially opened a doggy exercise park. It was a rather casual affair as families, counsellors and dog owners lined up with man's best friend for the perfect photo opportunity. Councillor Howard Doe was there to welcome the happy hounds and explained why the new initiative was so important.
Basically, this is a facility really that enables people to exercise their dogs, to have a seat while they're doing it, and also to make sure that the users have got one area and the play area is also separate from it. So instead of trying to keep dogs off everywhere, what we try and do is provide an area where people can enjoy exercising it, and I think that you know, they're happy and everyone else is happy, so they get more use of the park.
The fully fenced off grass area has seating and poo bins aplenty, allowing the playful pups to stretch their legs in a safe environment. So all that's left to do is let the dogs out.
And finally, it's been another busy week of football across Kent. Gillingham continued their unbeaten start to the season, while there were a number of impressive away wins for non-league sides across the county. Tom Akers has the details.
What a start to the season for Gillingham. Unbeaten, second in League One through to the second round of the Capital One Cup, Priestfield is becoming something of a fortress.
having seen off Bradford City on Tuesday night. Next up here is Wigan Athletic, who were plying their trade in the Premier League and lifting the FA Cup just 2 years ago. Despite their pedigree, Justin Edinburgh has warned them to expect a tough encounter when they go up against his Gills side on Saturday.
We're at home. We know what we want to make this place is a fortress, and we want to replicate the performance and atmosphere that we had against Sheffield United. Again, you know, one of the favourites are rolling into Priestfield. I know the crowd will get behind us, and we've got to make sure that anyone, I said that at the start, so anyone leaves here with anything, in fact, to earn the right to do that, and that's what I'm sure Wigan will do if they do take anything on Saturday.
Gillingham weren't the only Kent side to do well on their travels this week. Maidstone United recovered from back-to-back defeats by winning 1-0 at Hemel Hempstead, but the real drama was provided by Tony Berman's Dartford. The Darts were in Essex on Tuesday night to take on Concord Rangers, and they made the worst possible start. They were 2-0 down nice and early, Lewis Taff getting a double for the home side. It wasn't until the second half when Dartford found their stride, Andy Pugh getting 2 goals of his own, one coming with just 5 minutes left. But there was an even later sting in the tail. Tom Bradbrook stepped up in stoppage time with his 4th goal in 3 games to make it 3-2 to Dartford and see them climb to 7th in the table.
Have a great weekend. Goodbye.